The foreign policy associations, which thrive on tax exemption and forge the propaganda and intellectual framework for free trade schemes, have put the pedal to the metal. These groups, taken together, form a kind of unofficial trans-legislative body that makes Congress look like a mere spectator by comparison. Today in Washington, the Atlantic Council, a close intellectual cousin of the insider group, the Trilateral Commission, held a program at the Rayburn House Office Building on the Trans-Pacific Partnership and Asian security. So, the agenda-driven Atlantic Council went right to Congress to push ahead on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If enacted, this TPP, as it's known, would become history's largest free trade and investment agreement. Meanwhile, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership is under construction in Washington and other world capitals. This European Union-U.S. trade plan fosters the world structure favored by the shadowy Bilderberg Group and by the Atlantic Council and the Trilateral Commission. Known as TTIP for short, the plan reached the one-year mark this month in its preliminary development. A major concern among critics, including the Ohio-based Economy and Crisis Group, is that, like NAFTA, these trade deals will harm the job prospects of the average citizen and forge monopolies that will put small businesses at a distinct disadvantage. Another concern, even among supporters, is that TTIP will phase out generic prescription drugs and force consumers to buy only the most expensive medications. Many see NAFTA, now in its 20th year, as a job killer which sent too many manufacturing jobs out of America. Yet, to try and advance TTIP, the Transatlantic Consumer Dialogue, or TACD, held an all-day conference Tuesday at Washington's Pew Charitable Trust. The TACD is directly funded by the European Commission, yet it fancies itself as being an objective participant in critiquing TTIP. But as we determined for this exclusive report, the problem at the TACD program was that finishing TTIP is a foregone conclusion and that it only needs to be massaged and sold to Americans. Yet the United States Trade Representative Office will conduct TTIP negotiations between the U.S. and the 28-member EU largely in secret. The highly revealing admission at the TACD program came when Belgian co-chair Monique Goyen stated, quote, "TTIP is much more than a trade agreement. It lays the foundation of a transatlantic common market." That stunning statement suggested that TTIP's intent is to make Europe and America part of one another, to literally integrate, not simply associate. Goyens also noted that the TTIP plan to merge the regulatory functions of the EU and US is unprecedented. She stated, quote, "This concept of regulatory cooperation is totally new. It doesn't exist in any other trade agreements." She also added, "We're laying the foundation for a single market." Therefore, the regulatory sovereignty of each nation has to decline. But the TACD is simply an associate of the delegation of the European Union to the United States. In its aggressive efforts to lobby U.S. states and cities to support TTIP, this EU in the U.S. lobby just reached the threshold of having visited all 50 U.S. states. This lobby operates at 2175 K Street in Washington. It's led by Ambassador Vale de Almeida. On June 6, he wrapped up his 50-state outreach by visiting Cheyenne, Wyoming. So while the Atlantic Council works on Congress regarding the TPP, this EU delegation, in concert with the TACD, is going to the grassroots to get state and local officials on board with TTIP and contrive a groundswell that may seem genuine, but likely isn't.